Week 2 of college football is in the books, and what a crazy week it was as multiple top 25 teams just screwed the pooch. Also, RIP Scott Frost. I'm sure Nebraska will miss you dearly, but the AP just dropped their top 25, which means Broshmo got to drop his college football top 25. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. By the way, we're going to have an early, what would we say, an overreaction to week 1 of the NFL as I put out a mock draft for you tomorrow. And of course, we're going to be taking a look at stock up, stock down prospects on Wednesday. But let's go ahead and do the darn thing. And I'm going to go over 5 teams that just missed my top 25. Starting with Washington. Washington's had a very impressive start to the season, and they will likely be on this list soon enough if they continue that momentum, especially into conference play. You could say the same thing about Washington State. I was a little unsure about Washington State after the opener, but that's a big win over Wisconsin. Even if some people don't consider Wisconsin that good, they're typically still a top 25 team. And yeah, we'll be talking about Wisconsin when we get to the fallers. Syracuse, they lit it up against Louisville, and they did the same against a cupcake matchup. I can't wait to see this team get into their full conference play. I know Louisville's a ACC team, but Syracuse looks dangerous. Florida State was the team that literally was like this close to making the list. They didn't play this week, but hey, we know they opened the year strong. They had Duquesne, that was foregone conclusion, and LSU was a very impressive outing. So if they keep this up, they'll find themselves on the list. Marshall, big win against Notre Dame. But I just want to see more of them. They lit up, I think it was Norfolk State in the opener. So this is a team that looks like their offense is kind of, watch out for it. Also, I do want to mention Appalachian State. If they could have sealed the deal against North Carolina in probably the best game of college football thus far, then they would have already been on my top 25. A great outing against Texas A&M there in College Station. But let's go over my fallers, because I have 4 fallers, and I want to start with Coastal Carolina because they're the only team that's still 2-0, but I could not keep them on this list for the life of me because they just haven't been impressive. I know Army is better than expected. They had I think it was a close loss this past week against UTSA, but Coastal Carolina, hold on, literally played Gardner Webb to close. That's ridiculous. I can't keep you in the top 25. They're not worthy. You're not worthy. Hopefully you could prove it in the later coming weeks. But yeah, it's just the team hasn't looked good thus far. Houston, they lost a tough one against Texas Tech. I still think them and Cincinnati look a lot closer than I anticipated, because Cincinnati, I thought, they lost a lot of starters to the NFL last year, but man, maybe it's closer than you think, and SMU's a good squad too. So and Central Florida is too. They had a close loss to Louisville, so I don't know, that AAC is kind of wide open. Notre Dame, you lost to Marshall. You're 0-2. That's dog water. I think the offense is dog water. They don't have an answer at quarterback. I will be surprised if we see them back in the top 25. And then Wisconsin with the close loss to Washington State. I still think they might be. They're still probably at least the odds-on favorite to win, not necessarily the conference of the Big 12 or Big 10, excuse me, but their division. Though I think maybe teams like maybe Minnesota and Purdue have a little something to say about that, especially now. But let's go ahead and get into the sucker, starting with my top 25, starting with 21 through 25. Texas A&M, you lost to Appalachian State, and that might be a very good Appalachian State team, but you lost at home. Not pretty, not beautiful. You're at 25. Oregon, cupcake matchup. They finally looked like they had offense after getting just mollywopped by Georgia, so they move up a spot. Pittsburgh, I didn't want to move them out of the top 25 because that was a tough loss against a very good Tennessee team. So Yeah, they did it in OT. I just dropped them a spot here. Penn State still undefeated, had an impressive outing against Purdue, and then they just mollywopped Ohio this past week. So they enter the top 25. If you can remember, they were in my just missed it list last week. Texas, man, it could be easy to write off Texas at this point, especially we don't know how long that Quinn Ewers is going to be out. Card's beat up. He was deemed up, yet they still played that Alabama game so close, and I kind of want to wait and see first with Texas, and that sucks, man. They look like they were definitely going to be a much better team. It looked like they were going to win that Alabama game if Ewers was still in. Shoot, they almost won it with Card. But yeah, that team's definitely a lot better than I think a lot of people anticipated. So I'm going to keep them in the top 25 for now, but that is definitely something to monitor going forward. We're going to keep this sucker rolling at 20. I have NC State. They came out and they destroyed a cupcake matchup. Good. Maybe now, like, okay, the offense, this is how we wanted to look in the opener. East Carolina, that's a lot more I don't know. That team played more competitive than we anticipated, and this is what we're going to look going forward. So, bam, you just missed it last week. You're in it this week. Tennessee, huge win against Pittsburgh. They're here at 19. I love how that offense looks, and defense I think is better than I expected. Oklahoma State with the big win against Arizona State, because that's not a terrible Arizona State team. They are inching up the rankings. I know the AP has them a lot higher. I just think there's better squads out there. Florida, everything came crashing down to earth. Listen, they almost didn't win that Utah game. Like, that Utah game, keep in mind, like, they won because the tight end slipped. I think it was Kincaid too. Slipped. He was supposed to stop, and basically Cam Rising's guy just wasn't there, and it led up to the pick. Now, I think it does look like Anthony Richardson. There's some ways to go in terms of him as a passer. Not a great game. He had 3 turnovers by himself, so kind of rough. Baylor. I was so disappointed in this Baylor team, and they cost me money, so yeah, they're going to take a big hit. Because I anticipated them. I thought they should have been at least 10-point favorites going against BYU. I didn't expect the BYU team to be that good. I saw them as a 7 or 8 win team. Best believe we're going to see them in the rankings here soon, pretty soon enough. And Baylor, it looks like they didn't trust their quarterback, which I don't blame him. You know, it's not like he's that great of a decision maker, especially that BYU game. But I hated the play calling offensively. It was very stale, very simplistic, and BYU adjusted accordingly. Honestly, BYU should have won in regulation. Their kicker just missed the field goal, and that game, in my opinion, was much closer than it should have been. Because honestly, Baylor, I don't know how they scored 20 points. I was very disappointed. This doesn't look like a Baylor team that could take on Oklahoma, much less even a team that I didn't include and just missed it, but a Kansas State team that I think might be very good in this conference. Oh, man, I'm missing a team. Oh, maybe Texas? I don't know. Kansas, they're 2-0. Watch out for them. We could talk about Texas Tech looking all right. West Virginia, that's a team that, listen, I know they lost to Kansas in overtime, but like that's a team that they're 0-2, but they were very close outings. So on to the top 15. We're starting now with Utah. Honestly, they blew out their cupcake matchup against Southern Utah. It was a slow start, and then in the second quarter, they scored 38 points. Holy freaking moly. They scored 73 for the game. And keep in mind, man, they were this close to beating Florida. So here they are at 15. BYU, impressive outing. This team's much better than I expected. So I look forward to watching them going forward. I don't know if they're going to exactly be a top 10 team. I don't know if I have that much faith in them. But to do what they did, I know it was at home, but they were missing their top 2 wide receivers. Jaron Hall looked brilliant. He is a great leader for that squad. Michigan State, cupcake outing, but they got the job done. They look like a very good squad. And then Kentucky, that defense, for me, much better than expected. Levis, he does just enough. They will get Chris Rodriguez back here soon enough. I don't know if not for the next game, it'll be the game after. I'm not sure how his suspension's working. I heard it was like 2 to 3 games, so I guess we'll see. And then Miami on the cusp of being a top 10 team. But let me tell you, I'm a Hurricanes fan. To you, baby. But they've had some slow starts. They may have blown out Bethlehem Cookman, but they started the game slow. Southern Miss, they were down 7-3. They started that game slow. I know they won by 23, but it's not a team that inspires a lot of confidence in me as of yet. Big game this week against Texas A&M. Might be the game we watch Saturday, so join me for that. I think that will be. I want to watch my Hurricanes play. All right, now on to the top 10. Arkansas being the new addition to the top 10 here. They went out and they just smashed Spencer Rattler. Honestly, the game felt a bit closer than it should have been, but also that was part that South Carolina was playing from far behind, that they kind of just was slinging the ball and trying to play catch up. They were never in that game. Arkansas controlled it. I would say 2 impressive wins to start the year, mainly one against Cincinnati and then against South Carolina here. Wake Forest, Hartman, he's back and he looked great against a Vandy team that, hey, dude, that Vandy team was scoring like 60 plus points in their first 2 outings. So like, I thought it was an impressive outing, even though it is kind of like the basement of the SEC. So yeah, they're alive and well in ACC play. I can't wait till conference play starts for them. Clemson, they what was it? Furman. They had basically, it was a cupcake game, but Mr. DJ. I'm gonna butcher the last name, so I'm gonna just give him a nickname. DJ Ukulele here. He looked much better. He looked more confident. Hopefully that it's the same going forward. Even Georgia Tech, we saw parts here where like, okay, he's playing more in rhythm and he's playing with a bit more accuracy. That like, he looked much better, I would say, than he did the previous season. Then again, he was god awful in 2021. Ole Miss went out, did their thing against a cupcake matchup. Yes, they're number 7. USC, watch out, man. This squad I might be pushing them up to top 4 status, like playoff contender. I mean, they're already a playoff contender, but put them in the playoffs, because like, I think this has been the most impressive team outside of what the consensus top 3 is, and we'll get to Bama and their horror show they put out against Texas, but USC has been very impressive. Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, what a combination. Very deadly. And the defense ain't half bad either. All right, on to the top 5 being... Where do I have the top 5? We got Michigan here. Michigan, again, another easy matchup. They went in. They did their thing. We all expected it. Who were they going against? It wasn't Colorado State this time. It was Hawaii. That's right. Another easy matchup. But I do think that's a very talented squad. So, yes, do watch out. Oklahoma holding it down at 4. They went out, did their thing. I think the defense looks great. The offense looks good. It was Kent State. That's who they faced. So, yeah, I think they're going to win their division, their conference. And I would say USC's right up there. Like Michigan, it sucks. They're in the same. It's like they can't even compete for their conference title. They can, but they have to go through teams like Michigan State and Ohio State. Speaking of which, here's Alabama. I have them dropping 2 spots. It was a very bad performance. That offensive line, especially the interior of it, is god awful. It looked like that Jahmyr Gibbs was the best playmaker for the offense. Defensive line looked fine in run defense, but so many penalties. This team looks undisciplined, and it's been the Bryce Young, like, I gotta carry this squad. He could only do so much. That's why this team drops to 3, because compared to the other 2, they look more put together. On to Ohio State. I would say Ohio State, they got better playmakers, and they're down JSN. That's kind of big. Stroud, I thought, is playing well. The defense is playing well. They played well against Notre Dame, and I know that's not saying much. And then they played well this past weekend. And it was a cupcake matchup, foregone conclusion there against Arkansas State. But I feel better about them than Alabama right now at this point. And then Georgia, just that defense. Okay, yeah, we lost so many starters to the NFL, but it don't matter. We're a good squad. Our defense, amazing. Like, they shut out, who did they have this week? Samford. They shut them out. They've given up, what, a hot, like, 6 points on the season. How much did Samford, there we go, put up against them? Samford 0. It was a goose egg. I thought Samford got 3. So literally they have outscored opponents, and this is Oregon included. Oregon, they're a top 25 team right now still, at least for me. They outscored their opponents. I'm trying to do the math in my head. That would be 82-3. That defense, it's still live. It's still deadly. They're number one. They're worthy of number one. They are the reigning national champs. Maybe they should have been at 1 the whole time. They're here now, and I expect them to hold that spot down till the SEC championship game. But let me know who do you think got snubbed, or what your top 25 looks like in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. And as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.